Has it ever happened to you where you got an intuitive hit of some sort, you connected with your intuition, and you took inspired action, you acted right away, and then you got an amazing reward, even though you didn't know what you were acting on? You're like, why am I doing this? This makes no sense. Like if you would have gone through logic, it made no sense, but because you took inspired action, you got a reward. I'd love to hear about that. Please post below. Welcome, I'm Tanya Vasayo. I'm the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and today I'm talking about taking inspired action. That's why I want to hear about how that has shown up for you in your life, because here's the thing. When we are connected to our intuition, when we follow our intuition, and if you want to hear more about intuition, click on the videos below, you'll see about intuition. The next step in order for that intuition to take fruition and to become a reality and bring it from the non-physical world into the physical world is to take inspired action. And what I mean by inspired action is you need to act within the first 5 seconds, the first 5 minutes max. Like you just have to do whatever that hit was. You got something, you got an idea, and you're like, you know what? Let me call that person, or let me call the friend of mine that's going to hook me to such and such place. And when you do that, that's when you get rewarded. If you don't act within the first 5 seconds or the first 5 minutes, what tends to happen is you'll start getting all these different obstacles. What do I mean by obstacles? Well, the first one will be it's mostly your critter brain and your inner critics. They just get in the way. You are getting in the way of yourself, of this marvelous idea to come into fruition, of creating opportunities. You can listen to the opportunity video, how to, there's the steps. Opportunities show up by following our intuition and taking inspired action. You can't just stay in the intuitive part, because then it doesn't go into fruition. Like Elizabeth Gilbert talks about in her book, Big Magic, she talks about creative minds, and we're all creative, even though she's focused on the writers, of what she sees it as ideas live out here in the idea world, and they come into your mind, and it's either you take it and you make something with it. It's almost like you were chosen for that idea, and either you do something about it, or the idea will fizzle away and go to someone else to get produced. Hasn't that ever happened to you? Think about it, where you've come up with an idea, you didn't take action with it, and then someone else fulfilled that idea and they got the rewards from it. That's why we have to take inspired action. So what kind of obstacles show up? Our brain is going to get in the middle of it, our critter brain. Like I've mentioned in other videos before, it's gonna show up with asking all the reasons but how am I going to do this? Say you want to start a new business project, a new business idea, a side hustle to make some extra cash. And then you're like, but how? I'm not going to do this. I'm not an entrepreneur. How? I want you to forget about the how. Let go about the how. Leave that to the universe. Excuse me. You want to focus on the what and why. What's that intuition that you got, and why do I want to pursue it? I want to start a new side hustle because it will make me happy, because it sounds exciting, because it'll bring joy to my family, because it'll bring us more money. That's what you have to concern yourself with. The second thing that's going to show up is all the reasons why not to pursue this idea. That's why I'm saying you have to act within the first 5 seconds or the first 5 minutes. Well, you're not made to do, a new business project. You've never been an entrepreneur. How is that going to work? That's going to cost you a lot of money. We're going to go bankrupt along the way. That's going to cost too much energy. Your spouse is not going to support you with this. Yada, 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 yada. I want you to let go of that and realize that it's your brain. And one of the ways to get through this and to hack this and take inspired action is to do it within the first 5 seconds to 5 minutes, right? How many seconds? 5 seconds, 5 minutes, either one of the two. And then the third thing that's going to show up as an obstacle, it's all the negative what ifs. And I want you to turn these negative what ifs into positive what ifs, because you're going to go into, well, what if I start a new business? What if I start a new side hustle? It's going to take away time from me with my kids. It's going to take away time from me with my spouse. My spouse is going to want to divorce me because what if I spend too much time on the business? Or what if I lose all my money because I put so much money into this new side business? It's not going to work. I might as well just not do it. What if I can't, you're going to go into all these negative what ifs. And I invite you to switch it. And instead of what ifs that are negative, replace them with positive what ifs. What if you do start that business and suddenly it flourishes and it takes off and you're making an additional six-figure business and you don't have to work at your job? What if your spouse is so proud of you and you're making so much money with this business that you can retire your spouse and you guys are working together? What if you become an incredible example to your kids and you get to spend time with your kids as well as in your business? You see how that shifts that mindset, of all the negative what ifs? So I hope this is useful, because inspired action is such an important part of the process when we have opportunities show up for us, when we're following our intuition. And again, I'd love to hear if you've taken inspired action in the past. Please share in the comments below and share with me how you've taken inspired action on something that seemed crazy, it didn't even make sense, and how that panned out for you. Because here's the thing, if you break through that fear, you will be so rewarded on the other side. So thank you for spending time with me. I am Tanya Vasayo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy. If you found this useful, make sure to subscribe. I'm sure you're already subscribed. Share with other people that you think might help. And let's do this together. Let's empower as many women as we can around the world. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon. Take care. I have a question for you. How connected do you feel you are with your intuition? Think about that. When things show up for you in your life, do you tend to follow logic or do you follow your intuition? Welcome everyone. I'm Tanya Vasayo. I'm the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and today's video is all about connecting to our intuition and the importance of it. You might have watched one of my other videos about generating money opportunities. And like I've said, the premise of all my work is money comes from source through people. And it comes through people in the form of opportunities. So if you haven't listened to that video, make sure to go and listen to the opportunities video. But how do we get to connect to these opportunities? And that's through our intuition. And as we can get stronger and stronger connected to that intuition, the easier things start to become. We all have intuition. It's part of our decision making. It's just sometimes we either tend to go with logic and sometimes we go with intuition. So if you can start connecting to your intuition, you'll start making much better decisions in your life, and it becomes so much more powerful for you. So here are 4 different ways that you can start receiving intuition or start getting more connected and start strengthening that muscle. The first one is through visualizations. If you have visualized before, and it could be a guided visualization, I have a future self visualization that I do, where at the end, your future self gives your current self a gift or a message, so you could do some type of guided visualization. You could try mine or you could do someone else's, and pay attention and close your eyes and see, stay connected and see what kind of gift or message you're getting intuitively. The second form of intuition shows up as an inner voice. If you're a good listener, if you're an introvert that tends to keep to themselves, if you're good at listening to other people, you'll be great at this form of intuition, because all you have to do is quiet your mind. You can just close your eyes, you can lie in bed, you don't have to be in the lotus position, but whatever makes you feel calm, where you can just listen and listen to your thoughts, and there will be a lot of thoughts. It's kind of like peeling the onion. And then something will come through, an idea, someone to contact, something that shows up for you that you're like, wow, I never even thought of that. The third way to connect to your intuition is through a gut feeling or through a bodily feeling. You feel it somewhere in your body. I say gut feeling because that's something that we've all experienced. Maybe you made a decision of some sort, you were faced with something and you're like, oh yeah, I totally feel it in my gut. It doesn't make any sense logically, but it completely makes sense. I just feel it. I know I have to go in that direction. And then you do it and you're like, wow, it totally worked out. Or it could even happen the other way around, where you're like, oh my God, yes, I felt it. And then you take the logical path. And then after taking the logical path, you're proven that your gut feeling, that intuition that you had, would have been better following it in that direction. And some people might feel it in other places besides the gut. You might feel it in your solar plexus, maybe you feel like a contraction. And this is great to pay attention with your body, You can feel it in a form of contraction or expansion, especially when you're making decisions about something. Or maybe sometimes I feel like a weight's lifted off my shoulders. Like if I have to make a decision and intuitively I'm like, oh, if I go in this path, oof, I feel relief. Then you know that that's the way to follow that intuition. And the last one is that inner knowing. How many times has that happened to you? I know you have to have a story or two where you had to make a decision or an opportunity came up and there was that inner knowing. There was no logic, you couldn't explain it, there wasn't words you could put to it, but you just knew deep down in your bones and you knew in your cells, you knew in your core about something. That's connecting to your intuition too. So again, start practicing this, start strengthening that intuitive muscle. And I'd love to hear, please share below like how you connect to your intuition. Are you more of a visualizer? Do you like going with your inner voice? Is it more of a gut feeling, or maybe you feel it somewhere else in your body? I'd love to hear in the comments below. But before we go, I want to share too, when are the best times to connect to that intuition? And the first one is right before you're going to go to sleep. That's when you're getting into a different state, your body's relaxing, and your mind is taking all that information that was given to you throughout the day, all those bits and pieces of information. It's this discerning through it while you're sleeping, and your intuition will reveal itself. You'll get an answer or something either in your dreams, or you'll wake up in the middle of the night and you'll get an answer. It's always good to have pen and paper right next to your bed so you can write in there if you have an idea. You might wake up first thing in the morning and you have an answer. I love doing this exercise and connecting to my intuition right before I'm going to sleep if I have a big decision to make. Because the answer, that's why the sayings, sleep over, it's let the night pass, like, I don't know exactly how it goes in English, but sleep on it. There you go, sleep on it. And there is a reference to that because you are connecting to intuition. Another great time to listen to your intuition, first thing in the morning when you wake up. Again, you're waking up, you're coming out of that state of relaxation, your brain's at a different brain wavelength. And so you're waking up and you're connecting to that intuition. And then a couple more. One is finding quiet time throughout the day. Find time where you purposely sit and listen. And you could listen through meditation, or you can listen by journaling. So you can listen by going on a quiet hike or a walk around the neighborhood and let the thoughts come in. And the last one, last but not least, is finding quiet moments throughout the day where you're just being. That's why a lot of people get ideas in the shower, because they're not distracted with other things. We are so busy nowadays between social media, emails, we're bombarded with information all day long that we do not allow space. And it's actually not even been praised. We have to be productive, we have to be busy. But if you can allow yourself to just sit and let the sun hit you on the face, or listening to the birds, you watch how something shows up for you. You'll get an intuitive hit, you'll get an idea, something will show up for you. So I'd love to hear, please share this video with anyone else that you think it might be helpful for, any other women. It could be men too, we all use our intuition. I know they say that women were much more connected to our intuition, but men have intuition too. So please share the video and also comment below. I'd love to hear how you're connecting to your intuition, or if any ideas, dreams, or anything has shown up for you in your life because of being so connected to your intuition. Until then, I appreciate you spending the time with me. I am Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and I will see you in our next video series. Take care. I have a question for you. How good are you at raising your money vibration? Welcome. I'm Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and I wanted to share with you today how you can start expanding your energetic field and start being in that flow where money's just coming to you, or when you're needing money. Say you need money for something, it's easy. It's almost like breathing air. You breathe it in, you breathe it out. You're in this flow, you're in this ebb and flow. It comes in, it goes out. You're not holding tight to it. And this has everything to do with our
energy and our vibration. And here's how I see it. Everything in the world is energy. And we're all everything's vibrating. The table's vibrating, you're vibrating as a human being, your mind is vibrating at a certain level, and depending on where you're vibrating, you're attracting different things. This is like 101 for law of attraction. You might have heard about this, you might have seen it on the movie The Secret, but there's another step. A lot of people talk about law of attraction, law of attraction. You really have to be in resonance with the level of vibration of what you're wanting to attract. So money is also energy. How can we vibrate at another level to be attracting the energy? And it all starts with this psychologist called Dr. Hawkins. And he's also the author of Power versus Force. He came up with a scale that goes from 1 to all the way up to 1,000. And there's different levels. One being like the lowest level of vibration regarding your energy and your feelings. So if you're feeling like shame, guilt, fear, doubt, those are different levels on the scale. And you can look at this online. You could look for these charts. They've been developed by other people like Esther and Jerry Hicks too. So you'll just see the different levels of emotion. And this is just a guiding post for yourself. As you're waking up every single day or throughout the day, you can ask yourself the question, where am I on this scale? So it goes all the way from 1 being, like I said, guilt, shame, fear. Then it starts going into levels of courage and desire, joy, love, peace, enlightenment. So 1,000 would be the level of enlightenment. So the invitation here for you is, if you feel like you've been stuck with your money hasn't been coming to you, you've been wishing for these different things, you need to raise your vibration, your emotional vibration. You need to start shifting how you're thinking of things, how you're feeling things into the world. And you can watch some of my other videos of how to raise these different money vibrations and the energy and the vibration within your field. But you want to pay attention to this scale so that you can start attracting more things. And like I said, throughout the day, first thing in the morning, when you wake up, ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling joy? Am I excited for the day? Or am I feeling a little bit of fear because of things that are going on in my life? Am I feeling doubt? Am I feeling guilt? Am I feeling shame? And how can I raise it to the next level? Because here's the thing too, a lot of us are like, I want to go all the way from guilt and shame to enlightenment. Like in 2 seconds. And it doesn't happen that way. Maybe you only have enough energy. You're going through grieving and you only have enough energy to get you up to the next level, which might just be acceptance. So be kind to yourself as you're moving through this scale up and down. And like I said, it's an ebb and flow, but you want to start being conscious of it to see where you're falling so that you can compare it to what you're attracting into your life. I hope this was useful. If it was, please share with other women and other people in your life that you think they might benefit from it. Maybe they're at a lower level in the scale right now. Please share. I am on a mission to help women feel empowered financially. If you like the video and you'd like to get more tips, more hacks, more tools, more jewels, like I like to call them, just hit subscribe, leave me a comment, hit me a thumbs up, hit a like, share with other women. The more we can share, the more we can give, the more we can go further together. So thanks again. I am Tanya Vasayo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and I look forward to connecting with you. Share with me below, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Mwah. Welcome. In today's video, we are going to continue with these habits of millionaires. And today in specific, we're going to be focused on spiritual habits of millionaires. Welcome. I am Tanya Vasayo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy. And let's go over some of these spiritual, more contemplative habits that millionaires have. The first one that I have seen across the board in all research is the attitude of gratitude. And it's just being grateful. And you might be wondering, like, what does gratitude have to do with making millions? It has so much, because you know what we appreciate appreciates. So when we start coming from a place that we are already abundant, that we live in a world of abundance, and we start appreciating everything we have around us, even if we have the minimum, you start focusing on everything you have instead of everything that you don't have, and you're appreciative and coming from a place with feeling. This is not just about, let me write down and affirm what I am grateful for today, because I've seen a lot of that. I highly recommend having gratitude journals. I've been doing this for many years, and I just recommend feeling that gratitude. Like, just think about, what are you grateful for today? And maybe you can even set up an alarm on a daily basis, several times a day, where it pauses you and you say, like right now, I'll just pause and I'll say, what are 3 things that I can be grateful for right at this moment? The first one is technology. The fact that I can even be recording, a video and reaching anyone that's willing and wanting to listen right now, that's amazing. Like, we take it for granted so much, but we have technology. We have our phones, we have the internet. That's the second one I'd be grateful for. Think for, the internet. We can reach thousands, millions of people through the internet, and we can connect with so many people across the globe. That is pretty amazing. That's something to feel grateful about. And the third one that just comes to mind is that you're even here listening. Thank you. I might not even see your face. You might not leave a comment, but I know that hopefully there's something that I'm sharing with you right now that touches you in some way, shape, or form. And I'm grateful for you just giving me of your time. You could be doing a gazillion other things right now, and you're here. See how easy that was, of just finding 3 things you're grateful for right at this moment. And at the end of the day, like I mentioned, if you already do a gratitude journal, awesome. If you don't, I highly recommend get yourself a gratitude journal and start writing down at least 5 things you're grateful for from that particular day. And the challenge that I add to it for myself is that I can never write down anything that's repeated from the day before. So if I just said I was grateful for the internet, and I'm grateful for technology, and I'm grateful for you, I wouldn't be able to write that same thing down tomorrow, because then it doesn't come from a place where you're looking, it's kind of like just more mechanical, and it's not that space of feeling it. I'll do another video about gratitude and the importance and the correlation with money and being able to make your millions. So number 1 habit is definitely keep that attitude of gratitude. Remember that what you appreciate appreciates, and just stay focused on that. That's a huge one in the world of money. Be grateful. Here's another one that you can add with it. Be grateful for every dollar that you put out and every dollar that comes in. We tend to be grateful for the money that comes in, and we tend to hold on and be resentful to the money that has to go out. Like, I don't want to pay it. But I invite you to change that. Like, one of my mentors used to say, Louise Hay, she's like, pay your bills with gratitude. Think about, they gave you a service. You're paying the electric company, or you're paying your cell phone company. They gave you a service, and they trusted you enough that you would come up with the money to pay them at the end of the month. That's something to be grateful for. So that's a little shift in our gratitude, not just from the money that comes into our life and our abundance, but that we have a capacity to share, to give to others, and be grateful for that. So be grateful to your money, and be grateful for everything that you have around in your life. Second habit, spiritual habit that millionaires do, is they value themselves. They value the work. They value what they're putting out into the world. They know that they matter. They know that they have a dream, and they're doing everything to put this purpose out there. So they value the work that they have and what they're doing for their families, for their communities, for the world at large. If they have a business, because they might be employing other people, you might even be employing other people in your home. Maybe you've hired a cleaning lady, or maybe you've hired a CPA, you know, like who are the people that you pay in your life, and that you get to value your work because you're paying other people, you're giving, and you know what you are meant to do and that you matter with your work. The third one is they help other people be successful. So it's not just about them. You know, millionaires know that it's not just about them, and it's about giving, and it's about enhancing, and about having this ripple effect as they're growing and they're succeeding, as helping all the others that are coming behind. We want to have that impact. We want to have that ripple effect in our life. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, well, I don't have an impact, you know, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, I want you to rephrase that. Stay-at-home moms is, to me, for example, and I'm just using stay-at-home mom because it came to my mind right now, because sometimes we undervalue our work and that we matter in the world. And here's the thing, stay-at-home moms, to me, is one of the biggest, hardest, most important jobs in the world, because you are giving the tools, the systems to prepare this little human being to be able to function in society and to be a contribution to our world, to be able to leave our world a better place. Wow, what a bigger job than that. That's where I want you to value your work too. We all matter. We all have value to provide. And millionaires know that. And that's something that they go back to because they know and they understand the value that they're providing and that they're putting into the world. And we're helping others succeed along the way. The fourth millionaire habit, spiritual habit that I've read and I've seen and researched is that millionaires carve out time for ideas. They carve out time for downtime. It's not always about push, go, do. There's time for reflection, for that connection with nature, going for a walk, doing meditation, just allowing space for ideas to just show up. You know, it's space. It's what I call white space. They carve out time in their calendar to just be. They carve out time in their calendar to just enjoy life instead of just do, which is something that we tend to pride ourselves in our culture, you know, especially in this Western world. And honestly, it's not something you want to be proud of. If anything, I invite you to step away from the busyness and pride yourself on finding time for you, for self-care, for reflection, for ideas to pop into your head that then you can take into manifestation. So it takes me to the fifth practice. I think we're on 5. I don't know how many we have already, but the fifth one is to visualize, to tap into those dreams. As kids, we're always dreaming, we're visualizing. I can't tell you enough how my little girl is always coming up with ideas. Oh, the latest one this morning, her dream was to get an ostrich, and she wants to have an ostrich. And I'm like, well, why would you want to buy an ostrich and have an ostrich here? She's like, because I'd get to ride it around the neighborhood. I'm not going to put down that dream. I just told her that she'd have to research it, because I don't know if you can have ostriches here, if you need a license for it, how much they cost, what do they eat. You know, I just kind of went along with the dream. In my head, I'm thinking there's no way she can ever have an ostrich, but that's what gets her excited. Go for it. And I just share that because it makes me laugh. You know, as kids, we have all these crazy dreams. And as we get older and older, they get squashed and squashed with responsibilities of adulthood, as parenthood. And we start forgetting, you know, about our dreams. And my invitation to you is that if you've put your dreams away in a corner in the back of your mind, to dig deep, do some journaling, pull them out, do some meditation, do some reflection, go back to our previous habit, carve out time for ideas to show up. What gets you excited? What's on your bucket list for your life? You know, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? If you knew you were going to drop dead tomorrow, Have you accomplished all those dreams on your bucket list? And if not, a big majority of them. The next habit, spiritual habit that millionaires put in place is journaling. That's another form that you can use. I've been journaling for over 20 years. I have to give kudos and credit where credit is due. For me, it started with Julia Cameron and the book, The Artist Way. If you're not familiar with it, please go buy it and just do the activities in that book. But she talks about morning pages, and that's how I got started with journaling. She recommends waking up half hour earlier before your normal wake up time, and immediately just start journaling. Free flow. It's not about editing. It's not about perfect writing. Just write what's going on in your mind. And the first layers of that writing and that journaling tend to be mundane things and things that aren't really important, like, oh, I have to wash the dishes today. Oh, don't forget to take the dog to the vet. Whatever it is that you have to do. So it tends to be writing. She recommends doing at least half an hour of writing straight, nonstop, not editing. Don't look back. Or at least 3 full pages of writing, and not on the computer, because there is a process of doing it handwriting. And so I started doing this over 20 years ago. And it's been a habit of mine and a practice of mine for the over 2 decades now, sometimes more and sometimes less. When I had a kid, it was hard for me to carve out that time for journaling. But this is a big habit. It's a spiritual habit of the millionaires, is carving time out for journaling, for ideas to emerge. So you can see these are kind of intertwined. You could spend some time doing meditation. You could spend some time in silence and letting the ideas come in. And you can also journal and see what stuff starts coming out. And Julia Cameron and her way, and how I learned it from her, she doesn't recommend reading what you wrote until at least 2 weeks have gone by. And now I've created my own little system within my journaling and my writing, because there's a lot of fluff and there's a lot of stuff that's not really important. And I don't want to go back through all my journals and read stupid stuff that I don't really care about. What I do is I'll put a little asterisk, and I have my little table of contents. I'm such a nerd, but I'll put my little table of contents of important things in that writing. Maybe I came up with an idea for the business or a class that I want to teach or something, and I'll put a little asterisk. I have my pages numbered, and I'll see what number page that's on, so that I can refer back to it, because I can't tell you how many ideas I've had in journaling. It is such an important practice. If it's not something you're used to, I really recommend you doing it. You will discover so many things about yourself. The next one is all about the next habit, spiritual habit that millionaires use, is be curious. They're always curious and they're always learning. Curiosity leads to learning. And when you learn from mentors, you learn from teachers, you learn from coaches, you learn from books, you learn from audios, you learn from events. I mean, it's just, especially in this day and age that we live of technology, there's of information. We live in the information age. It is so easy to just learn from a video like you are right now, learn from a book, learn from mentors. Just be curious, ask other people, just be curious, continue learning. It's millionaires, a spiritual practice is that they are the eternal learners. They don't go around thinking that they know everything. It's quite the opposite. They always look at life as they're beginning to learn certain things. And even if they master, I've seen this so many times with people that are wealthy, entrepreneurs, that are successful, even though they might have mastered a certain area, it might be finances or in their craft, whatever it is, they're always thirsty and curious to learn from others. They know that they don't know it all. So keep that open mind, keep that curiosity going, and continue learning with everything that you have. Those are my top spiritual habits of millionaires. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear some comments below. Just share with me, do you practice any of these? Do you journal, or do you visualize, or do you carve time out for ideas? Are you a constant learner? If so, what kind of things do you like learning? And if you don't practice any of these, that's okay too. Like now, maybe this was what you needed to hear. And just let me know which one of these practices you want to start, you want to incorporate into your life, in your spirituality. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. My name is Tanya Vasallo, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit subscribe. That way you can be notified when I'm pulling out, sharing new videos and new tips and new tools on how to create prosperity, abundance, and change our mindset so that we can welcome all that abundance and the millions and the riches into our life. Until then, I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it. Mwah! Big kisses, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Welcome. Today we are talking about what millionaires do on a daily basis. What are some of their habits that you can start putting in place? Some of them you might already be putting in place, but what are their habits? What are these habits that they have in common? Welcome everyone. I am Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and I'm excited to share this video. So here's what research has shown regarding millionaires and the daily habits that they incorporate in their life. To start out, they wake up early. So if you are someone that prefers working at night, you might want to try going to bed an hour earlier and setting your alarm and waking up an hour earlier. So you're still getting the same amount of sleep, but you're just starting your rhythm in a different way. And there is something to be said about the early hours of the day. I've been practicing this for years, where I do wake up. Now that I have a kid, I wake up around 4:35 in the morning, sometimes 5:30, depends on the time of the year. Like in the summertime, it might be a little bit later. And I utilize that time for myself. That's a way for you to get your day started by intention versus by reaction. And what do I mean by that? Is what you want to do is, instead of waking up in the morning and grabbing your phone and checking at social media, checking emails, or checking the news, or turning on the TV, that's where you're reacting to the day. You're letting the input and everything that's happening in the day trigger you, versus you deciding what's your intention. How can I allocate time for myself starting the morning? And let me tell you, like I said, I've been practicing this for several decades now. Before I had my daughter, I would literally wake up around 6 in the morning, and from 6 to about 10 a.m., I would meditate, I would visualize, I would journal, I would exercise, then I'd have a healthy breakfast, and then my morning would start around 10 a.m. I understand that for those of you that don't run your own business, that can be harder. And if you have to go to a job, then you would have to wake up earlier. So you can still incorporate some of these practices. Once my daughter was born, I couldn't include all of this because I had to breastfeed her. I had to take care of her. I'd have to take her to school. So now you adapt a little bit with your habits and practices, and you can still include it. Now I go to bed more or less at the same time she does, so that I get those extra 2 hours in the morning. And I love the silence of the home. There's no phones ringing. There's no interruptions. There's no TVs and backgrounds. There's no music. It's just you and the silence of the morning. And I can't tell you how much that helps me get my day started. So definitely try practicing getting up earlier. And if you have to, like I said, go to bed an hour earlier, wake up an hour earlier, and try that out for a while. See if it works for you. The second thing that people, millionaires do, another habit that they do on a daily basis, is read. And not just like novels to keep themselves entertained. It tends to be biographies, history, and self-development. Those are the top 3 topics that millionaires are doing on a daily basis. So if you can carve out about 30 minutes a day, you can read in the morning. Like I said, if you do these practices in the morning, I also allocate about 10-15 minutes in the morning, because sometimes in the evening I'm either too tired or I'll end up just letting go and falling asleep. So if you can find time for read, and you can read, it depends on what you like. I prefer paperback. My second favorite way of reading is on the Kindle, but I also enjoy audios. So highly, highly recommend, if you're like, well, I don't have time for reading, is set yourself up with a goal, of how much do you want to read? How many books? Do you want to read one book per month? Do you want to read one book per week? Like how many books do you want to read this year, or even this month, or this week, if you're an avid reader? Last year, my goal was to read at least 45 to 50 books, and I hit my mark with 50. Some of them were in audio, some of them were in Kindle on my phone, and some of them were on print. Highly, highly recommend taking a look at, what books you want to read. Again, biographies are great. History is great. You get to learn from it, so that your reading is not just to pass time, but it's learning while you're reading. And the third one is self-development. Any way that you can improve yourself as a human being and be better to your family, to your community, to society, and to the world at large, awesome. Kudos to you. And we can always learn. One of the things that I love learning from biographies is when you see these successful people and you read about their stories, we tend to idealize them. We put them up on this pedestal and we think that they're like, that their life was always so easy and they achieved success overnight. And I particularly like reading and learning about their struggles, because it's not easy. So anyway, big encouragement to read more in your life. If you're reading a book a quarter, maybe you want to bump that up and read a book per month, this year. So set yourself some new goals and pay attention to different forms of how you can digest that information. The third way the third practice that they do is exercising. You want to include exercise in your day. It's such an important habit to have. And it can be anything from walking to CrossFit to exercising at the gym to moving, just dancing, whatever you get excited. Maybe it's hiking. Maybe you like connecting with nature. So think about what are your best forms of exercise. Maybe you're someone that exercised in college or in high school, and then you kind of dropped the ball. And what age are you in? Because maybe you were a runner in your 20s, but you're in your 50s now and your knees can't deal with running. So there's different exercises for different phases in our life. And exercise has just been proven. It's such a good thing to incorporate on a daily basis. Our body needs to move. And whether it's a 30-minute walk, like I said, or putting on your favorite playlist, put on the headphones and just dance around the house, whatever gets you excited, but have it as a goal to wake up every day and include some type of movement in your life. And think about too, if this is a hard habit for you to incorporate, is what times are best for you to exercise. I know if I leave my exercise for the end of the day, most likely it won't happen. So I tend to schedule either my gym time or my walks or a dance or stretching with yoga, whatever it is, to do it first thing in the morning. And then if I end up going for a walk or a hike because I got invited to that, or there happens to be a dance class or something, then that'll be a bonus in that day. And your body will be very thankful for it. The fourth thing that millionaires practice is having their dreams and their goals, envisioning. We are creative creatures. We are the only animals on this planet that can create, that can imagine. And for things to come in from the non-material world and imagination into the material world, we have to be able to imagine it. Everything that exists in the material world around us was once an idea. It was the creation of someone's imagination. Someone created it in their head and then they materialized it. So my question to you is, what do you want to envision for yourself? What are your dreams, your life's goals? Like, what do you want to accomplish? It's funny because we tend to plan for weddings, we tend to plan for traveling. Hasn't that happened to you? If you've ever been married, and if you haven't, maybe you planned for a party, and you thought about it and you envisioned it in your head, and who did you want to invite and what were you going to have at that party? Or maybe even for a trip, you were getting ready for a trip. So you started imagining yourself, at that location. What plane do you want to go on? What airlines? Who's coming with you? That's all part of imagination and of dreaming and of tapping back into our dreams. And as kids, we're great at this. But as we get older, we start forgetting how to imagine and how to dream. I think it's because culture and society starts stepping over our dreams and we end up just burying them into a drawer in the back of our mind and we forget about them. But I highly, highly invite you to pull those dreams back out and think about where are you and what stage of your life. What would you like to accomplish? What's on your bucket list? And start envisioning that. I can't tell you how much I've manifested in my life by dedicating time every single day of imagining what it is that I want in my life. And that requires money. Again, money touches everything. So a lot of those dreams might come to pass with money from yourself that you've generated. Maybe it's a gift from someone else or an opportunity that showed up, but you want to dream, because behind everyone that wants to make money in their life or that wants to become a millionaire, there's always a dream behind that. There's always a why. Why do you want that? So think about what's your big why? What are your dreams? What do you want to create for your life, for your future, for yourself, for your family? And start pulling those dreams back out. And the last habit that I want to talk about today that millionaires use that has been proven is sleep. See, the thing is, we pride ourselves in this culture and in this society, and me especially coming from Spain, a culture where everyone's partying. We don't start dinner until 10 o'clock at night. Everyone's going out. And then you pride yourself that you were up until 6 in the morning and you barely get any sleep. But one thing that we do have in Spain are siestas, nap time, and we do value our siesta time. A lot of places, smaller towns in Spain, did you know that places close from 3 p.m. or 2:30 actually, 2:30 until 5 p.m. so that people can go back to their home, have a nice lunch, dedicate that social time to their lunch, and then take a nap in the middle of the day. So sleep is so, so important. And more studies are coming out as to the importance of sleep for our productivity, for our efficiency. You really want to get your at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, especially for women. I am proud to say that I love my 9 hours of sleep. If I get 8, that's okay. That's usually what I tend to get. If I can squeeze 9 on the weekend, if I'm under 7 hours of sleep, forget it. I just won't. I'm not operative. I'm just not good. It's like being drunk. I'll be driving and I see mistakes I make. I'm sensitive. You can say, oh, that shirt doesn't look nice on you. And I could start crying just because I'm on lack of sleep. So sleep is a really, really important one. And I invite you to pay attention to how much sleep you need and what's best for you. Do you like to get to sleep at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock? And sleep until 7 or 8, or early rising, like I said, new habits, maybe start getting up at 5, go to bed at 9. So Experiment, play with it. Another thing to incorporate with sleep is your naps. I wasn't a big nap taker, even though I come from the land of siestas, but I've learned a lot from my husband, and he pays attention. He always drinks his coffee after lunch and takes a 20-minute nap because he says that's enough time to give his coffee time to work into his system and wake him up right after the nap. So pay attention to that. Maybe you're a napper, and that's okay. You have permission. I am giving you permission to take naps. I am giving you permission to sleep longer. You do not have to be on 5 and 6 hour sleep and pride yourself on that. That is a no-no. That is not something that we want to aim for anymore. You know, we want to aim for, if you're a woman, 8 hours of sleep, 9, awesome, and have some awesome dreams. So thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, pay attention. We'll have some more millionaire habits. I'm going to create some other millionaire habit videos for you. If you enjoyed it, please share it with family, with friends, or anyone else that you think might benefit from this. And make sure to hit subscribe on the button below. That way you'll get notified. And my last question before we leave is, please make a comment below. I'd love to hear, what are your top habits that you, from the ones I mentioned, that you already have in place? And what's one habit that you're committing to that you didn't have in place, but that you're going to give it a try? Until then, I am Tanya Vasallo. Thank you for being with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in our upcoming videos. Take care. Hi there. In today's video, I wanted to talk about our capacity to receive. Welcome. I'm Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy. And I want to talk about our capacity to receive, because as women, we tend to be much more givers than we are receivers. We want to take care of everyone else. We make sure that we get the best things for our kids. Maybe we allow our husbands to get all those things that they like playing with, gadgets, things for their hobbies. And here we are, you know, being skimpy on going to the spa or getting a nice haircut or doing something good for ourselves. Here's the thing. If you are a woman entrepreneur or you're wanting to increase your abundance, your prosperity in your life, it doesn't matter how much money comes to you. If your capacity to receive, and if you don't open up your bucket to receiving, that money will come in and it'll go right out. One of my mentors, Louise Hay, many years ago, she would say, how open are you to the abundance of the universe? You know, imagine the ocean being the abundance of the universe. Do you sit there at the border of the ocean and just sit there with a symbol? Or do you have a cup? Or do you have a big bucket? Or do you have like a big pipeline that connects you from the water right into your being? And that's what we want to do in order to receive. You need to open up that container of receiving. And you might think that you are a good receiver. You might want to rate yourself. Think from a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being I'm a horrible receiver and 10 being I'm an amazing receiver. Where do you think you fall? Type it into the comments below. Because you might think that, oh no, I'm a great receiver, but let's think about some of these case scenarios. You know, receiving comes in different shapes and forms. If someone pays you a compliment, do you immediately go into a whole long explanation, or do you simply say thank you and accept it and receive it with gratitude? If someone's trying to offer their help to you, do you deflect it and push it away? I remember being 8 months pregnant at the grocery store, and they were offering me to go to the car and drop off my groceries. And I'm like, no, don't worry. I've got it. Here I am, Miss Independent and strong woman. I can do it all on my own. So if people offer you help, do you push it away? And what about comments, compliments? If someone gives you a gift, do you feel like you immediately have to give something back in exchange, or give something even bigger? So these are the areas where I want you to pay attention in regards to receiving. How good of a receiver are you? And it gets a little bit insidious. Sometimes it just shows up when you least expect it. and you think you're being a good receiver, but you're deflecting that compliment. You're not accepting the help of someone else's time, or maybe someone just simply smiles at you. So your homework for this week, if you wish to take it on, is pay attention to your capacity to receive so you can start strengthening that muscle. And please type in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you fall with this. You know, where maybe you're good at receiving compliments but not receiving help. So please type below. If you enjoyed this video, share with any family, friends, and hit subscribe. Become part of our group, our tribe, and get notifications when new videos are coming up on how to increase our abundance and our prosperity in our lives. Until then, I'm Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and thank you so much for being with me today. Hi there. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top mistakes that women make regarding money. Welcome, I'm Tanya Vasallo, the founder of The Courage to Be Happy, and I want to start out with mistakes that we make. And don't feel bad about this if you identify with some of them. What's happened is a lot of these things have been passed down to us through culture, families. We carry it in our lineage. You know, there's scientific proof that we carry in our blood, in our cells, the trauma from previous generations. So the number one thing I want to talk about is we feel like we're not good with numbers. Like money is a thing for men, you know, or for other people. Like I wasn't taught this, so I'm not good at it. And that's just silly because no one's born knowing how to manage money and what to do with money. It's just something to learn, which takes me to mistake number 2 is not getting educated in regards to finance. Here's the thing, money touches everything. Unless you're living out in the jungle, money is needed for everything that we do in the world. You know, you need it to buy food, you need it to buy clothes, you need it for shelter. So we need to learn and understand money and have a good relationship with money if we want to survive and thrive in our lives. So we have to get educated with money. The third one is that we kind of just don't talk about it. As women, we love talking about all kinds of things. We love gossiping and all these other things. We're talking. We are creatures of speaking and communicating with each other. Yet we don't talk about money. It's like this taboo subject. You know, what are you doing with it? Or we might feel ignorant. Or you know, what are other women doing in regards to money? So you want to start getting comfortable or getting around communities and circles of other women that feel comfortable talking about money so that you can start learning about different ways that you can make, keep, and grow your money. And the last mistake I want to talk about is thinking that a man is a financial plan. Many of us, again, passed down through culture. I was born and raised in Spain, and you know, it's a patriarchal society, and there was never like an immediate message saying this, but there was like an invisible conversation where men will take care of you, whether that was a husband, if you married a husband, if you married a man. If you didn't, then maybe a brother or a father would take care of you. So we think that, again, this has been passed down through generations, that we think that a man is our financial plan. And here's the thing, ladies, 50% of women of marriages end up in divorce. I think it's like 80% of women will outlive their spouses. And right now, women control over $45 trillion in the world. Sorry, that statistic is wrong. We control over 45% of the wealth in the world. So you have to think that at some point in your life, whether you end up getting divorced, whether you're choosing to be single, whether you become widowed, you want to learn about finances, and you don't want to learn about it when you're in the middle of emotional distress. You want to start learning and educating yourself about it sooner than later. So again, don't back on a man, fall back on this plan of a man's going to save your life in regards to finances. Once again, I am Tanya Vasallo, the founder of the Courage to Be Happy. If you found this video useful, please hit subscribe. I'd love to hear in the comments below, what do you think are some of the mistakes that we might be doing or that you feel more identified with? Maybe it's 2 of them. Maybe you feel like you've never gotten educated, or you've felt ignorant and, put down in regards to money. I'd love to hear and support you throughout that. So please make a comment below. And if you found the video useful, share it with friends and family. And again, hit subscribe. Until then, I am Tanya Vasallo, the founder of the Courage to Be Happy, and I'll see you soon.